In the June Ashes of Creation livestream, which I have a full recap of linked above, we got news that nodes are the next stream topic in July, most likely. With that in mind, I thought I would do an everything known about nodes video, and for this one, yes, I am cheating a little bit. I'm using the footage that I had from my everything known about Ashes of Creation video and taking the node section. So with that, let's get on into it. And now we are ready to take a deep dive into the biggest feature of Ashes, the node system. We have already touched on nodes a few times, and nodes touch nearly every aspect of the game, so that is to be expected. As stated before, there will be 85 regular node locations on the world map, and there will be 15 additional castle nodes for a total of 118 nodes. There are 4 node types, each of which has a unique specialization. Players can identify the node type at its first stage of development based on the types of NPCs present. The node types are as follows: Divine, which has priest NPCs, Economic, which has merchant type NPCs, Military, which has guard NPC types, and Scientific nodes, which has scholar NPC types. Node types are predetermined and are the same across all servers. Node types are static and do not change no matter what players do in the world. Node types will affect the various services and systems at each level of the node's advancement, such as node governments, narrative, NPCs, node buildings, and amenities. Each node type has a superpower ability that is unlocked when a node advances to Stage 6. Divine nodes at Metropolis Stage 6 may unlock a procedurally built mega catacomb dungeon beneath it that connects to its divine vassal nodes. These may house unique bosses with unique drop tables. Economic nodes that have reached the Metropolis stage unlock the linked economy superpower. Economic nodes with this superpower share their auction house listings with all others. Up to 2 economic metropolises may be linked in this manner. Metropolis level economic nodes enable worldwide sale prices for auction houses across Farah. Items listed in one linked economic node can be bid on from any other linked economic node. Linked economies also connect the economic metropolis and its vassal economic nodes. Military nodes enable bounty hunters and potentially reduce the duration of corruption. Scientific nodes that have reached Metropolis stage unlock the teleportation superpower. Citizens of Metropolis scientific nodes may teleport between the Metropolis and any of its vassal nodes, regardless of the stage of the vassal node, so long as the vassal node is not at war. Citizens of the vassal nodes may teleport to their Metropolis node and back. If there are multiple scientific metropolises, then an airship will provide faster travel between those scientific metropolises for citizens of those nodes and their vassal nodes, so long as the metropolises are not at war. In order to become a citizen of a node, players will need to attain one of the housing types within that node's zone of influence. There might be another option for citizenship as well in the future based on testing feedback. Players can only be citizens of one node at a time on a server per account. There's no limit to how many citizens a node can have, but there is a sort of soft cap in that it will become much more costly to become a citizen the more citizens a node has. Citizenship will be lost if a node is destroyed, and players can then become a citizen of a different node. Node citizenship is not tied to guilds, and guilds do not own nodes. However, guilds can become a patron of a node by contributing the most XP to a node. With patron status, the following benefits will unlock. Emblems can be applied to guild armor that can be purchased from the node. Participation in the node's stock market will unlock. Ability to participate in specific guild-based missions that will progress the guild's leveling and development. Allocation of guild points to unlock specific node abilities for guild members. And the ability to claim an in-node guild hall. These have different perks and benefits to halls placed on freehold plots. Any number of guilds can be in a node, but the number of patron guilds within a node is limited by node stage. Villages and lower stages do not have patron guilds. Towns can have up to 1 patron guild, cities can have up to 2 patron guilds, and metropolises can have up to 3 patron guilds. Players can interact with a node board to see who is a citizen of that node and get some details for each player. Further, players are not required to become a citizen of any node and thereby will not have to pay node taxes, but of course there are many benefits to doing so. Those benefits of node citizenship include access to limited functions and service buildings within the node, access to merchants that offer specific types of enhancement stones or stat migrations, upper tier crafting benches, a weekly allotment of core material that can only be accessed from the node's reliquary, buffs from certain events, titles, organizations, and religions, and participation in the node's government. So there are a lot of benefits to node citizenship. Non-citizens will still have access to generic node services, mundane crafting benches, and standard rewards from node quests. Moving on to the zone of influence controlled by the node. Each node controls an area of the world called the zone of influence. When players undertake actions such as questing, gathering, or raiding within the zone of influence of a node, that node will receive experience towards leveling up the node. The entire world map is covered by zones of influence, so whenever players are exploring and questing in the world, they will be contributing node experience to a node. Underrealm nodes' ZOIs might overlap, but they are considered adjacent. Zones of influence will expand based on the progress of the node. A Metropolis node will have a much larger zone of influence than a Stage 1 node. Up to 1/5 of the world will be encompassed within the ZOI of a Metropolis, and there are a maximum of 5 Metropolis nodes on a server. The developers have a node simulation in which they simulate what could happen with nodes on a server. Nodes can advance and nodes can be sieged and destroyed. NPC events can damage certain buildings and reduce the XP gained by a node until repairs are made. As stated, there are 7 node stages. The following chart shows the names for each stage, the amount of time to advance to each stage, and the type of player housing available. The Stage 3 Village node is the first stage to get in-node player housing, but the housing will be small houses only. Stage 6 Metropolis nodes will have mansions for in-node houses. In-node housing will be limited, as there will just be 8 in-node houses at the Stage 3 level, and these are the houses that eventually do become mansions, so they will be highly contested. The amount of houses does increase when the node levels up. There will be 3 other housing options. One is apartment buildings. These are smaller instance spaces within a node. There will be 50 apartment buildings available for purchase at node stage 3, and the mayor can build more apartment buildings at node stage 4. The number of apartments per building does increase when the node levels as well. Inns are another housing option. Finally, freeholds are sizable player housing plots that can be situated within the zone of influence of a village stage or higher node. Any player can have 1 freehold per account. They are approximately half an acre in size, and they do not change size when a node levels. Upgrades to the freehold do become available when a node levels. Freeholds cannot be sold to other players. Players can build multiple freehold buildings on a freehold, and they will need blueprints to build these buildings. The best processing for the artisan system happens within these freeholds, so there is a lot of value in owning a freehold. These are all the systems freeholds interact with: node progression, artisan classes, spawn actors, quests, and taxation. Freeholds will be hard to obtain, but there will be several easier ways that a player can obtain housing, such as apartments and inns. In-node housing will be hard to obtain and will probably be hotly contested, especially the 8 houses that eventually become mansions at stage 6. In-node houses can be bought and sold by players. The devs are considering an auction system for when new in-node housing becomes available when a node levels. And apartment costs will go up the more a node levels, which is part of the soft cap for node citizenship. Apartments can also be sold to other players, and there is no cap to the price a player can charge for an apartment or in-node housing. Taxes will have to be paid on a player's property, and if the taxes are not paid, the house can be transferred back to the node. The next owner will be responsible for paying the back taxes and penalties when purchasing the home. The developers are also considering rental and leasing options for real estate owners in Vera. The node layout and style is determined by several factors. First, the biome the node is located in, second, the node type, and third, the race that contributed the most experience to a node's advancement will alter the racial appearance of buildings, NPCs, and props within the node. This racial appearance can change if another race does more XP when a node levels up. Finally, the rest of the node's appearance is determined by the mayor of a node. Getting into node advancement and how that affects other nodes. Nodes will advance to level 1 quickly. At that stage, NPCs, vendoring, and banking will open up. As a node advances, its zone of influence will expand. Less advanced nodes, which are referred to as vassal nodes, can still gain XP, but they will be forced to stay 1 level below the parent node. As of August 2022, there is no longer blocking of nodes leveling up until one node reaches stage 3. The vassal system starts when a node hits stage 3, XP. There's a territory expansion algorithm that takes into account a heat map of where players earned XP in the zone of influence, among many other factors when determining how the zone of influence will expand when a node levels up. Once a node becomes a parent and has vassal nodes, the excess XP from the vassal nodes that are capped out will transfer to the parent node. Citizens of one node can contribute to the advancement of other nodes. Node advancement will teleport players out of the node and spawn some interesting events for the players to watch as the node advances. At stage 3 of a node, surrounding nodes will become vassal nodes. The following chart describes the limitations to how many vassals each node stage can have. A stage 6 node can only have 2 stage 5 vassals. A stage 5 node can control one stage 4 node and one stage 3 node. And a stage 3 node can control a level 2 or a level 1 node. If a stage 3 node is destroyed in a siege, the vassals are also destroyed. Vassal networks can extend across the sea and include islands, and the vassals do get some benefits from the parent node. Parent nodes will also collect taxes from vassal nodes. These taxes are only to be used within the node system and not by players themselves. Vassals are subject to the government, alliances, wars, taxes, and trade of their parent node, and they are able to receive federal aid from them. Vassals cannot declare war on their parent node or any of their vassals. As stated before, zones and ashes do not have specific level ranges. The level of content within a node's zone of influence will vary based on node level and accommodate multiple level ranges. Nodes will receive node atrophy every day, and that atrophy amount will be subtracted from the total XP earned for the day. If there is more atrophy than XP, the node will lose experience. If enough atrophy occurs, node buildings might be damaged, and nodes might even be destroyed if enough atrophy occurs. The government of a node is chosen by the citizens when a node reaches level 3. Patron guild leaders, chief bounty hunters, and leaders of religious organizations will also have special access to certain node NPCs. Mayors control the development of a node. They allocate resources for node defense, and they coordinate the transfer of supplies via the caravan system, as well as some other powers. Only node citizens can be elected mayor. The king or queen of a castle can also be a mayor. More on castles will be in the PvP section of the video. Mayors get more powers the higher a node levels. There are a number of node policies a mayor can declare, and those are voted on by the citizens of the node. We have only seen a few examples of these so far. The amount of node policies will vary based on the happiness level of a node. Node happiness is based on many factors based on the history of the node. Mayors can also mark foreign citizens as enemies of the state, declare a war on another node, enter into trade agreements with other nodes, set the tax rate for the node, and then allocate that money for node improvements or defenses. Mayors can also initiate quest-driven systems that non-citizens can participate in, so the mayor elections will definitely matter. Node mayor elections happen 1 week after a node hits stage 3 and will reoccur every month. Elections last for 1 week. The election process will be different for each of the 4 node types. Divine node elections are done via service-oriented quest lines. Economic node elections are won by the player who plays the most gold. Military node elections are done via last man standing gladiatorial arena combat, likely using a champion that the players will have to level up and skill out, and scientific node elections are a traditional democratic process. There are many node buildings, some of which are built by the mayors and players, and some that are automatically placed based on the node type and level. Constructible node buildings include apartments, marketplaces, and royal stables. The mayor will place the building in a build plot, but the players will have to deliver the supplies to complete the project. Node types will have unique buildings associated with them. The reliquary is a very important node building that will house node relics. These relics have a lot of different effects depending on the relic, such as allowing certain legendaries to be crafted, or unlocking certain legendary quest lines for node citizens, or just buffs for all citizens. Relics are automatically manifested in a node based on a node achieving certain conditions. If a node siege is successful, shards of these relics can be looted and can be used in certain crafting recipes. Constellations and exploration also play a part in relic acquisition. Node buildings can also be destroyed via various in-game systems such as node sieges and wars, and NPC and weather events. At 25% damage, the building will not be usable by players until repaired. There will also be node reputations. Node citizens can have a good or bad reputation based on their history within the node, and this can affect things like NPC prices. Node sieges enable players to destroy nodes. This paves the way for new development and access to the locked content in surrounding nodes, which we will explain later when we talk about the vassal system. Sieging nodes will not be an easy task for attackers, as the defenders will have an advantage. The majority of content in Ashes is open world, but some or all aspects of node sieges might be instanced. We will get into the details of node sieges in the PvP section of this video. If a node siege is successful, the node will be destroyed and returned to level 0. Players lose their node citizenship and housing, but their designs and decorations are retained and can be placed later in the next house a player owns. Even unsuccessful node sieges could see in-node apartments destroyed if that building is destroyed during the siege. I will get into more details of node destruction in the PvP section of the video. One final thing about nodes before we move on: there will not be underwater nodes, but there will be nodes on the coasts and on the islands. And that's everything that you could ever want to know about nodes. Now, I'm sure some of this will probably change in this upcoming live stream, but probably not like major parts of it. Although there were some fairly significant changes in the freeholds. So we'll see, maybe. But there's so many features with nodes. If they change 5% of things, that would be 5 out of 100, different features. So odds are most of this will still hold up. But either way, once we get new information on nodes, I eventually am going to redo the entire everything known about Ashes of Creation video, probably once we get much closer to Alpha 2. And so I'm keeping a list of everything that has changed along the way, and I'll be updating that once we get there. With that, guys, I always appreciate when you watch to the end of my videos. It does help a tremendous amount. And with that, guys, I'll see you in the next video.